The most unexpected story of the Falcons' offseason may be unfolding right under our noses, and no, it's not Kirk Cousins again. Something unusual, almost unheard of in the NFL, is quietly brewing. And if you're a Falcons fan and like to stay informed, hit that like button and come with me. Let's start with a name you probably didn't expect to hear, Shemar Stewart. A first-round draft pick by the Cincinnati Bengals out of Texas A&M, Shemar Stewart is no ordinary rookie. At 6 feet 4 inches and 265 pounds, Stewart is a physical freak. Speed, power, explosiveness, all rolled into one. But if you've been following the pre-draft process closely, you might remember the rumors. Incredible athlete, but where's the production? 3 straight seasons with just 1.5 sacks each. You read that right, the same number every year. Still, his raw talent alone was enough for Cincinnati to call him up early in the draft. But now, here's the twist. Stewart hasn't shown up for a single spring practice. Rookie minicamp? Nope. Organized team activities? Skipped. Mandatory minicamp? Absent. It all comes down to a contract dispute that sounds as bizarre as it is bold. The Bengals and Stewart are at odds over a specific clause in his rookie deal, language that could void guaranteed money in future years under certain conditions. And this isn't your typical NFL holdout. This is deeper. It turns out Cincinnati still carries the reputation of being one of the more old-school, frugal franchises in the league. Their reluctance to guarantee money beyond the first year isn't new. It's the way they've operated for decades. Joe Burrow was a recent exception, but overall, it's a trend. This ownership group, one that famously funds team operations almost exclusively through team revenue, continues to resist fully modern contract structures. And for a player like Stewart, who's betting on himself, that kind of limitation isn't going to fly. Which brings us to the Falcons. On the surface, Atlanta seems like an unlikely trade partner. Why would the Bengals give up on their first-round pick not even 2 months after drafting him? Why would the Falcons, who already used first-round capital to draft pass rushers, go after another one? And yet, the tea leaves suggest something might be simmering. Here's what we know. Atlanta had significant pre-draft interest in Shemar Stewart. There were visits, research, legitimate scouting interest. While they ultimately chose Jalen Walker at 15, someone they didn't expect to be available, they later moved back into the first round to grab James Pierce, another top target. But what if Stewart was the third guy on their board? What if Walker, Pierce, and Stewart were the Falcons' big 3 draft dreams, and now, somehow, the door is creaking open to land the third piece of that puzzle? Think about it. The Falcons have already shown they're willing to get aggressive this year, trading back into the first round to secure another premium pass rusher. If they believed Stewart was in the same tier, what's to stop them from pursuing him now, especially if the Bengals are stubborn enough to create a trade window through their own missteps? Of course, there are real obstacles. Atlanta is short on draft capital next year, already having spent their first and fifth round picks. Any trade would need to be creative, perhaps leveraging future picks or player swaps. And still, the idea of acquiring a player who was just selected in the first round by another team is so rare it almost feels like fiction. But then again, NFL history has seen stranger things. John Elway's saga with the Colts, Eli Manning, and Phillip Rivers on draft day. Never rule out drama in this league. So let's say Stewart does become available. His potential fit in Atlanta? Intriguing. In a 3-4 scheme, Stewart would likely slot in as a defensive end, while Walker and Pierce operate from the outside linebacker spots. It wouldn't be redundancy, it'd be reinforcements. It'd be a front 7 stacked with explosive talent, built not just for 2025 but as a long-term defensive nucleus. All of this may sound far-fetched, and it is, to a degree. But slow news cycle or not, this isn't something you dismiss out of hand. Atlanta's front office has shown an aggressive, forward-thinking mindset all offseason. If they truly saw Stewart as a foundational talent, you have to wonder, are they willing to risk a little more to secure that final piece? We'll break down what a trade could even look like in the next part of this deep dive, but for now, Falcons fans, we want to hear from you. If the Bengals open the door to moving Stewart, should Atlanta jump at the chance? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. But here's where the stakes start to climb, and fast. Because if Shemar Stewart doesn't sign his rookie contract by August 5th, the Bengals legally cannot trade him during the 2025 season. That's right, there's a hard deadline. So whatever tension is playing out between Stewart's camp and Cincinnati's front office has just weeks to resolve, or the situation flips from holdout headache to full-blown lost season. After that date, the only options are for Stewart to sit the entire year, re-enter the 2026 NFL Draft, or try to play elsewhere, college or another pro league, while the Bengals still retain his rights. Now imagine this. What if Terry Fontenot is watching this situation unfold like a chess match, waiting for the right moment to pounce? Think back to the draft. The Falcons didn't just stumble into Walker and Pierce. They planned. They knew who they wanted, they tracked who was falling, and they were aggressive enough to jump back into the first round to secure their guys. If Stewart was even close to being their third top-rated defensive talent, then everything changes. This wouldn't just be a flashy trade, it'd be a calculated, long-game strategy to build a homegrown, devastating pass rush. And let's be real. When was the last time the Falcons had a truly dominant, relentless, quarterback-hunting front seven? You don't win playoff games without pressure. And if you're going all in with Kirk Cousins and a team that believes it's built to compete now, why wouldn't you explore every option to solidify your defense? Stewart wouldn't just add depth, he'd raise the ceiling of this defense to a whole new level. But let's address the elephant in the room, trade compensation. The Falcons are low on capital. Without a 2025 first or fifth rounder, the package for Stewart would have to be creative, possibly involving a 2026 second-round pick, or even a player-for-player swap. The Bengals aren't going to give him away for free, even if they're being stubborn about the guaranteed money clause. That's where Fontenot's front office wizardry will be tested. And this isn't just about one player. It's about a message to the locker room, the fans, and the league. Atlanta is here to make real moves, not just tread water. They're not just drafting for the future, they're acting now, building a foundation on defense to match the offensive firepower being assembled. Stewart's situation might be bizarre, unprecedented even, but so was trading up to grab a second first-rounder. So was spending big in free agency. So was this entire 2025 offseason. So as the calendar creeps closer to that August 5th deadline, keep your eyes on Cincinnati. Keep your ears open for leaks, rumors, and sudden changes in tone. Because if Stewart really becomes available, and the Falcons are as serious as they've looked this offseason, don't be surprised if that phone rings. Now it's your turn, Falcons fans. What would you give up to land Shemar Stewart? Is this a risk worth taking, or should Atlanta stay the course with what they've already got? Drop your answers in the comments, we're watching them all. Click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Go Falcons!